Daniel here for Tabletop for One. Please join me at the table as I teach and play through Dungeon Date. Roll and write. And I thank you for joining me for this tutorial and solo playthrough of Dungeon Date, Roll with Style. It's designed by Sarah Addison, and it's currently on Kickstarter. I have a link in my description if you want to check that out. And in Dungeon Date, you are going to be dressing up with new equipment, stylizing yourself, and going out to the different dungeons, romancing, befriending, or slaying the various monsters there. Now, the publisher of the game provided me with this preview copy to do this tutorial solo playthrough video. Alright, and so all you need is 4 dice of different colors. I picked these colors here to match the colors on the board. And I have a dry erase marker because I laminated this sheet here. And then for setup, you're going to choose one of the equipment here. You're going to choose one of the bottom level of the equipment here to start off the game and start off with your style. And so I'm going to choose the hands here. I'm going to get an ensorcelled wormwand. And so I'm going to choose the hands here. I'm going to get an ensorcelled wordwood wand. Okay. And so what we do is we cross off this box here, and then we claim those 2 style tokens over here on the right. And so we'll circle, we have a leaf here, and I think this is magic here. And then you have to choose one of those 2 symbols as your personal symbol that you're going to score at the end of the game. You score it twice. And so I will choose the leaf by circling the symbol down here in the score section. Now in Dungeon Date, you are going to be rolling dice and choosing one to use during your turn. When you choose the dice, the color is important because that's going to factor in what you get to do in each of the different areas here. If it's a 1, you can backstab a monster of that color. When you backstab a monster, you cross off any monster that's furthest left on any of the rows here in each different section here. So you could do it in the romance, befriend, or slay. Now, I'm not sure why the monsters in the romance area would find backstabbing romantic. Well, we won't get into that there. But in this case here, I have a 1 purple, so I could backstab the white here, or the skeleton here, or the zombie here, because I haven't crossed any off yet. Now the next option is to use the Stylomancer if you have a die of value of 2. Now when you use the Stylomancer, you'll cross off the lowest box in that matching color in the equipment area down here. So black is for head, purple is for body, green is for hands, and orange is for feet. And then once you've crossed off that box, you'll gain that style on the right here. So if I crossed off this wounding steel spike boots here, I would gain both this arrow symbol and the sun symbol down here. And then the other option is either 3, 4, 5, or 6 will let you visit those dungeons. And when you visit those dungeons, you are able to either romance, befriend, or slay a creature that matches the color of the die used. So right now we have a 5 and a 5 here, the green and the black. So I could cross off one of the boxes here in the Cold Claw Cavern, and then romance, befriend, or slay one of those enemies based on that color. Now, when you encounter an enemy, you must match its style requirements. And so right now, I just have the magic and the leaf. So if I wanted to use one of these 5s here, or the 6 orange, I would be able to slay the brownie here because it only requires 1 magic, or romance the pixie over here because it only requires 1 leaf. So those are my 2 options. I would not be able to use the 6 here because none of the orange monsters here match the style that I currently have with my equipment. Now, as you're marking off boxes, you might gain various bonuses. At the end of the romance rows here, you'll gain various equipment. It's hard to see here, but there is a hand symbol there, a boot, a chest piece, and a helmet there. So you're able to gain those equipment for free. You'll just cross off the lowest box and add those style markers to your style here. If you finish a row in the slay action, you'll gain a spite, and I'll talk about spite in a minute, but basically you'd circle a spite over here. On top of that, if you complete a column, you'll gain 1 free equipment of your choice, so that'll be useful. And in your equipment as well, there are various bonuses that you can gain. So there are extra equipment shown at the 3rd level of each equipment. And then there's extra dice shown at the 5th level of each equipment. And when you gain an extra die, you get to use one of the other dice that you didn't use that turn. On top of that, if you complete an equipment column, you'll gain 1 free backstab, which you can use in the various sections of Romance, Befriend, and Slay. Now there's something to note about backstabbing. See, when you backstab, you have to cross off one of these boxes here, and if you cross off too many of them, you're going to start losing points. So you have to be careful how many times you backstab. Now, if you roll during the turn and there is a 1, but you choose a different number, you'll gain a spite. And what a spite is a plus or minus 1 that you can use on a die at any time. Now you can gain spite, and then you can also gain more spite, which more spite allows you to change the color of a die. But you can never circle off more spite than regular spite. So keep that in mind. You have to work your way up spite first, and the more spite second. And so those are the ways that you can manipulate the dice. Now, at the end of the game, you're going to be gaining points and trying to achieve the highest score. And so, in each of the different sections of Romance, Befriend, and Slay, you're going to gain points based off of how many monsters you killed of that color. So, if you kill one monster of a color, you get 1 point. If you kill 2 monsters of a color, you get 4 points. And then 3 monsters of a color gives you 6 points. On top of that, for each monster in the third column that you kill, you gain 1 extra point. Then you'll gain points based off of your style. Your personal style will score double, and then you'll also score your highest and second highest of your styles here, entering those numbers down here at the bottom. Then you'll total all those, subtract any backstabs, and that'll be your total for the game. And the game will end when you fill up one of the dungeons completely, you tally your final score and see how well you do and compare that to your previous scores. Alright, so we're ready to start the game, and I have a 1, 1, 4, and 6. Now, I don't know if I want to start backstabbing early because that's just not very useful. However, there's nothing I can currently, attack in the dungeon. Oh, well, wait, actually, I can attack the brownie. See, I can use the 4 black here, which means I cross off one of the black boxes here in the Baleful Barrow, because that's the number 4 dungeon. And so I will encounter the brownie and slay the brownie because I have the matching symbol of magic. It only required 1 magic, so that was easy to kill. And since I did not choose to use one of the ones, I will gain a spite. Once again, you can never circle more spite than regular spite. All right, for the next turn here, we have a 2, 3, and 4. With that 2, I definitely want to go to the Stylomancer. We're going to get this bladed mithril plate, which is going to give me the axe symbol and the anvil symbol. So that's going to increase my style quite a bit. There weren't any 1s here, so I don't gain any spite this turn. Going on to the next turn, we have a 3, 3, 2, and 5. Might as well increase the style a little bit more. And this will gain me the sun symbol and the arrow symbol. So I've diversified quite a bit here. Moving on to the next turn. Now I could use the 2 to gain the cold forge on my hands, and that might be useful. Or should I go to one of the dungeons? And well, I can only go to the Amethyst Archway or the Baleful Barrow, the 3 or the 4. Let's go to the Amethyst Archway, cross off one of those oranges, and we'll romance the Cave Orc. Yes. And I didn't choose the 1, so I can gain a spite. I'll gain a more spite this time. Next turn, we have a 1, 2, 4, and 5. Now, I don't want to use this 1. It's not worth it right now. But I could use the 2 black, because that is going to get me my helmet here, a Shrouding Obsidian Circlet. Alright, and that's going to get me my last 2 symbols of my style. So I have 1 of each to start now. That's going to be helpful. I can encounter at least the far left columns of each of those areas. All right, so let's see. I didn't use the 1. I will gain another spite here, and we'll move on to the next turn. We have a 6, 4, 2, and a 1. Now, I think I'm going to use the backstab action this time. So I'm going to use the 1 to backstab the Bright Elf here in the romance section. And again, the backstab allows you to do that even if you don't meet the style requirements. Because I only have 1 leaf here, and the Bright Elf requires 2. So I can still backstab. Now, that means I have to cross off the first on the backstab list here. I can only do that 4 times before it starts costing me points, so I have to keep that in mind. All right, we're going on to the next turn here, and looks like we're heading to the dungeons because we have a 4, 4, 6, and a 6. Now, just to let you know, if for some reason you cannot use the dice here, you would just gain a spite of your choice. But in this case here, I can definitely use the dice. I just had to decide where. I think I will use the 6 purple, so we'll cross off the purple box up here. And that means we're either going to be slaying the zombie, befriending the skeleton, or romancing the white. Well, let's go ahead and romance the white. I meet that requirement with the little bat symbol. All right, moving on to the next turn. Well, maybe it's time that I get more stylish, right? So I have a lacerating shrouding obsidian circlet. That gives me another axe symbol. And I didn't use a number 1, so I gained a spite. We'll gain a regular spite, because I want to be able to adjust those dice. All right, moving on to the next turn. Now, if I take the 2 right now and get the plumed style here, that gives me another plant And on top of that, there's a bonus here of a free foot equipment. And so I will get to cross this one off here, the lowest one, and gain that as well. Now I didn't use the one, so I can gain another spite. We'll put it right over here. All right, next turn here. I think it's time that we go back to the dungeon. So I want to romance this pixie here. So we'll use the 5 green and we'll romance the pixie here. Again, I met that requirement rather easily. Now I didn't use a 1, so we'll gain another spite again. We're rolling again here. I could use the backstab. Actually, check that out. If I use the backstab right now, I can romance the Minotaur. It requires 3 anvils, but the backstab gets through all that. So we will use that. I crossed off 1 backstab slot. And then we'll cross off the Minotaur. Now, on the bottom corner of this Minotaur, it shows that I get a free helmet equipment. And so I get to cross off this one here. And now that puts my magic at 3. That's going to be useful later. All right, next turn. Might as well use the Stylemancer and use the 2. We'll go here, gaining another of the hammer symbols, it looks like. And then I get a free hand equipment. So that'll give me another anvil symbol. So our style's working out really well. All right, next turn. And at this point, I definitely want to use the 6 because I want to romance the wood gnome, which completes a column for me, which gives me a free equipment. So I will do that, crossing these off here. And which equipment do I want? And it can be of any color, so it's just my choice. So I might as well get this green one here, which gives me another sun symbol, but also gives me a free chest plate. All right, so I cross off this one here, adding to my bat symbols here. So I almost have 2 of every symbol. This is really good. All right, moving on. Now I don't think I'm going to use the 1, so let's go to one of the dungeons. I might as well use the 5, the purple. We'll cross that off here, and then let's go and romance the ghoul. All right, and then the next turn here. Oh, I should have gained a spite from that, so we'll gain a more spite. Let's do the Stylomancer. We're going to gain this one here, the purple one. Gives me another arrow symbol, but on top of that, I get a free helmet. So we get to go here, crossing this one off, getting a sun, and on top of that, that gives me a bonus die. Well, let's use that die to go to the dungeon. So let's go to the Doomdark dungeon. That's the 6 orange, and we're going to encounter the Gnoll. We're romancing the Gnoll over here because it only requires 2 suns, and I have 3 suns. I guess I could have done the lizard person, but we'll get that one next time. All right, next turn. And so there we go. We have a 4 orange. Let's use it in the Baleful Barrow and encounter the lizard person, romance the lizard person. On top of crossing that one off, it gives me a free body equipment. So I'll get to cross this one off here, gaining another plant symbol. All right, next one. Now I could gain the equipment. I'm not sure that's the best course of action here. I definitely want to keep romancing these. We have a deep dwarf here. I could romance the deep dwarf. I have 2 anvils. So let's do that, because I don't have enough to romance the lich yet. So let's do the deep dwarf. That is also going to get us the free equipment anyways. So we'll use the 5 black in this section here, crossing off the deep dwarf, and 1 free equipment. All right, which one do we want? Well, I could do the purple one here, giving me another hammer, but also a free die. And so with that free die, I can either go back to the dungeon with the green or the purple here, which let's use the green. Yeah, we'll use the green 4, going back to the dungeon to romance the owlbear because I have 3 plant symbols now. So we'll romance the owlbear and it gives us a free footwear. And so we'll cross this one off here, gaining our 3rd bat symbol. All right, moving on. Now I definitely don't need the 1. So let's choose one of these here. I can use the 6 purple because then I can romance the lich. So we'll use that one, crossing off the lich here, getting a free hand equipment. And so we'll gain this one here, gaining another axe symbol. And wow, we're almost at 3 of each style now. Moving on. All right, 6, 6, and 5. I don't think I need to go to the Stylomancer right now. I should probably explore some more. Now, I have completed this dungeon. I guess I should have gotten a free equipment from that column. So let me fix that now. And I'll just gain this one over here, because my preferred style is the plant one, and there's a final plant one right there. So I'm working my way towards that one. But now let's figure out which dungeon we're going to encounter. Now, should I continue slaying or befriending? I can't use this 6 orange. Actually, I can't use these 2 at all. I can't even use this one. So I can only use this one. I just realized that. Those are all full on those sections, unless I decide to use a more spite and change the color, or a regular spite and change the amount. Let's do that. We'll use a regular spite, crossing it off to subtract 1 from the 6, making it a 5. And then we will use the 5 here and slay the hobgoblin. All right, next one. Let's head back to the dungeons again. This time we'll use the 4 black. This time we'll use the 5 purple right here to slay the zombie. All right, next one. Now I don't know that I want to use the 5s, right? Even if I could change the color, because right now, if I use the 5, I'm going to end my game, and that's not going to be good. But what I can do actually is use this 2 to get my final headpiece here, which gives me my final plant piece, and then I can gain a free backstab and use it anywhere. I might as well use it on the dryad here, and that's going to gain me an extra spite. All right, next turn here. I can use that 6. Yeah, let's use that 6, cross off here, and slay the Nixie. All right, next turn. Now we can definitely use that 4. We'll go to the baleful barrow, and we will attack the hill gnome, killing off the hill gnome. At this point, I can kill anything here because I have enough style points. Now I didn't choose the number 1, so we'll gain a spite here. Next turn. Now I could use one of these backstabs if I want, especially if I don't want to encounter or use one of the dungeon numbers. And actually, let's do that. We'll change this orange backstab into a purple. And so we'll use the more spite here and then cross out a backstab and attack the eye orb. That's going to complete that row and gain me another spite. And let's gain another more spite here. All right, moving on. Looks like we're going to the dungeons again. Now I can use the 4, so let's do that. Crossing off this one here and attacking the night goblin. Next turn. Well, it's about time we got some 3s, because now I can use that 3 to go the amethyst archway, and we will attack the dark elf here, crossing off that 3 there. I didn't use a 1, so I will gain another spite. Next turn. And I will use this 3 here to go to the amethyst archway again, crossing off this one here. Next turn. And so I think I'll use the Stylomancer to go here and gain a new equipment. That's going to give me another anvil symbol. On top of that, I'll get to use a bonus die. Now, if I use a 4, that's going to end the game, and I'm not ready to end it yet, so I'm going to use a spite to adjust that 4 to a 3, and then I will attack the Banshee, slaying the Banshee, crossing off the 3 up here. All right, next turn. Now I'm going to take this 3 orange, but I'm going to use a more spite and change it to a black to go to the amethyst archway, and then attack the golem here. And I realized I didn't get my free equipment from the Banshee, so we'll gain that right now. And then I gain a spite and free equipment from completing this column here. And so let's see, we'll gain the hands here, which gives me another arrow style, and then I get to use another die. And at this point, we're going to use one of these dice here, and this is going to end the game. So we'll go to, I guess, the Cold Claw Cavern here, and then befriend the halfling at the very end of our adventure here. All right, and so now that the Cold Claw Cavern is full, we actually get one final turn to play. And let's see, we have a 4, 4, and a 6. Might as well use one of my more spite to turn that 6 into a green and attack or befriend the sprite there, and that will end the game, and we'll go to final scoring. And so when you score, you're going to check each of the romance, befriend, and slay areas, and you're going to count how many of that color that you killed. Now there's 3 of each color in each of these areas. And so if you've killed 3, it's worth 6 points, but also on top of that, you get a bonus 1 for it being in the 3rd column. So each of these here in the romance section are going to be worth 7 points each. Each of them in the slay section are worth 7 points each. And then the befriend one here, I only get 1 point for the black one and 1 point for the green one. Now on the style here, I'm going to gain 2 times the number of plants that I have. And so I have 4 there, so I will gain 8. And then I get my highest and 2nd highest as well, and those are 4 and 4. And then we look at the backstabs. I don't have any backstabs, so that's 0. And then we count up our total points here. So 28 plus 2 plus 28 plus 16. And so that's going to put me, if I'm correct, at 74 points. And so there you have it. That was the tutorial and solo playthrough of Dungeon Date Roll with Style. It's designed by Sarah Addison. It's currently on Kickstarter. Again, if you want to check it out, I have links in my description. And so let me know in the comments below what you thought of this game. point out any rules errors I may have made. Please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here, and I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One. Have a great night.